people think about like what AI do something wrong. It doesn't give me the thing that I want to because like it's AI, it's probabilistic model. It's inherently probabilistic. And when I think about it, there's a few things comes in. In my head, it was always the problem is this one. Does it do better than human or not? I would argue a lot of the places that people think like about it, AI does better than human. We were testing on stuff like reading SOPs and extracting information from it. AI does much better than human. Can it make mistakes? Yeah. But human make much more mistakes, like the number of mistakes that human. The issue is not that the AI makes mistake. The issue is that who's responsible now.
I want to see you make mistakes in your first month. That's not what you would expect to hear from a biotech founder and leader. But it's exactly how Reza Farahani drives innovation at Catalyze AI. Welcome back to the Smart Biotech Scientist Podcast, to part 2 of our conversation, where Reza shares a deeper dive into how artificial intelligence is transforming bioprocess development, and he also will be sharing about counterintuitive leadership principles and raw insights about entrepreneurship in the AI biotech space. Whether you're a scientist dreaming of starting your own company or a leader looking to foster innovation, you don't want to miss this. Let's dive back right in. Are you juggling the complexities of CMC development while trying to enjoy the beauty of biotech? Have you ever wondered if there's a way to simplify bioprocessing? Welcome to the Smart Biotech Scientist Podcast, where we're diving headfirst into the very challenges you face. We're breaking it down, demystifying the jargon, and giving you the keys to unlock your full potential. I'm your host, David Brohlman, and I get it. With 15 plus years in the biotech industry, I face the same challenges you do. There's a way to simplify and streamline so you can remove complexity, you can skip trials and errors, deliver without delay your groundbreaking therapy to clinics and market, and still enjoy every single step. Do you want to learn how industry experts and I did it? Grab a cup of coffee and your favorite notebook and pen. Now is the time to take your bioprocessing game to the next level. Let's smarten up biotech. Now, AI is exciting. There's a lot going on. I feel like every week there's something new coming up. And definitely there's huge potential for bioprocessing. I would love to hear from you, Reza, about the limitations of AI or also the common misconceptions you have observed.
That's a very good question. Where are the limitations? So today, people think about like what AI do something wrong. It doesn't give me the thing that I want to because like it's AI, it's probabilistic model. It's inherently probabilistic. And when I think about it, there's a few things comes in. In my head, it was always the problem is this one. Does it do better than human or not? I would argue a lot of the places that people think like about it, AI does better than human. We were testing on stuff like reading SOPs and extracting information from it. AI does much better than human. Can it make mistakes? Yeah. But human make much more mistakes, like the number of mistakes that human. The issue is not that the AI makes mistake. The issue is that who's responsible now. Like I'll take this one to something like you've been in San Francisco, or you can see the Waymo's driverless cars. So the issue is not like there are some of them that like act so much better than human in like if someone like a kid goes in front of them, they're better than humans and stopping the car. They may do some dumb stuff that would be horrendous too at the same time. Probability wise, they're better than human. But if they hit someone, who's responsible? I think that's the main question. I don't have an answer for that. But hey, if someone makes a mistake on the production line, and FDA comes in, I can point that to that person and that happened, and that's how we're going to fix it. But if the AI makes a mistake, how we are going to do that? So I think that's the current discussion about it. I would say there is a lot of misconception. The main misconception is like, hey, the regulatory haven't figured out AI or they're against AI. We talk with regulatories often. And you're just like, at least what we hear from them and like publicly, there's like, hey, go do it. This is the same thing you did before. And for humans, for software applies to AI, the same regulation. There is no more restricted regulation here. I think there is a misconception about, oh yeah, if we do something with AI, it's never going to get GMP compliant. That's not true. We went through AI solution that get GMP. It's like, that's a very, very big misconception. Like, by the way, the good manufacturing practices, you can get AI through GMP today. You just need to apply the same rules you apply to your software.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Who is responsible? That's definitely a question we need to answer. Also, if something goes wrong, like a run goes wrong, or is AI responsible, or is still the scientist responsible, or the system?
Yeah, exactly. So right now, everything comes in the way that we do it is like a human in a loop. But I hope the future would be like more and more automation, yeah, as much as possible.
How do you see the role of a scientist evolving? And also, what are the skills we should develop and hone in order to be able to work better alongside AI in the future?
That's a really good question. When I think about the role of like a scientist that are developing a process or like doing it, so is about how they can interact with AI to make the process faster and faster. So we are working on this project right now. The next feature release that we are going to do is like an agentic root cause analysis. So before this, you need to go, and if something went wrong, you need to go do a lot of analysis, come up with the analysis, and then decide what went wrong and what didn't. But assume that the agentic root cause like analysis goes and run all the possibilities. That's why this went wrong, and create the report for you. Now your decision becomes like how to read this report and extract if that's true, which one is the higher probability, lower probability. So it just more of now become you deciding everything is done. You need to look at it and detectively find and figure out where the AI falls short. And where I think AI falls short and the scientists need to do better is about that intuition, and the intuition by analogy, creating analogy between this and that. So I think the scientists need to get more cross-functional to start learning about the machinery, biochemistry, stuff like that the AI cannot do at this point. You mentioned, for example, the lots. That was the day that happened. The AI never going to get that point. That would be much harder to do it. So that growing that intuition, I think, happens by doing the stuff cross-functionally. You can do more with AI, so you can do more, so you can grow your intuition faster. So it's like a different type of human would be at the end, the different type of scientist. That scientists have an understanding where AI is not good. So instead of doing the trust AI, it's where AI is good, and try to look where AI is not good. And that's going to be like a evolving scenario. The today is different from tomorrow, from a year from now. So being open to that iterations at the end of the day.
And what technological advance in AI are you the most excited about?
I would say self-conscious AI, like AGI. What I mentioned exactly here is drawing analogy, generating new ideas based on analogy. For example, I see something work in a field of petroleum. Like it's like, oh, it worked there, and that was the reason behind it, ABC. So it may work in like a biomanufacturing because that ABC, the fundamental reasoning behind it, the first principle applies. I think we don't have that in AI, and I'm very excited. Now it becomes something like see the patterns, create the analogy, and can apply it somewhere else. I think that becomes full new reasoning way of like, which is pretty exciting to me.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting to see. What's going to happen in the next few years? Perhaps bioprocessing will be completely different in 5 years.
I think it will be. Even if you think about it in the last 20 years, it's like so much happened. Stuff gets so much more efficient. And I think that trend gonna keep going in the future. And the interesting part about it is like always I'll look into is like it was never one person at one point figure out something. It was very iterational and incremental that would reach to this point. And I think that's very exciting to me because that's going to be in future too. We get incremental efficiencies that's going to change the trajectory in the next decade.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to circle back to your story as we're getting to the end. And I would like to pick your brain on something because you've led several startups. And I'm curious, Reza, what has been the most crucial leadership principle or skill in driving innovation and scaling biotech startups?
I think this would not apply to a lot of people, and this would not apply to big corporations. If you are in a startup, and you hire people, you hire the scientists, you hire the AI scientists. The first thing that you need to tell them, don't be worried of making a mistake. Because here, the mistakes could be costly. And they're like, oh, if I do this, if I change this, everything not gonna work. And what I tell to everyone I hire is like, I want to see you make a mistake in the first month. I want to see you do something that goes wrong, because then you are just trying to experiment. I want you to think outside of the box. Specifically, if you hire people from bigger organization, just like there is so much tendency to not make mistakes. Just the first thing is like, it doesn't matter if I innovate. It matters I don't make mistakes. But I think if you are a startup and you have the capacity and you want to innovate, if you are going to try new things, you're going to make mistakes. And if you give them that certainty that nothing going to happen, I actually demand a mistake from you. I want to see a mistake happen. If you haven't, that means you haven't pushed enough. That was a big unlock in my team. I saw people start working much more courageous when doing the stuff, experimenting with the stuff and finding out interesting things on the way.
That's amazing. And so what advice would you give to a scientist who is considering entrepreneurship in the biotech AI space like you?
Don't do it. I'm just kidding. Find a good problem. Like if you identify a good problem and you have an interesting way of solving it, if you have an interesting problem, like look around, see where efficiencies could happen. Even if it's a small, like I can do this one a little bit better. You can come up and make a startup out of it. It's not going to be like that idea, not going to be or like a unicorn or a decacorn. But if you find that efficiency, come out and start making something out of it, you can evolve it to something bigger at the end of the day. That efficiency, that way of doing better, like, okay, I did this one. How can I make it repeatable? If you really want to do a startup and you're a scientist, don't wait. The moment you find something that efficiently that can be sustainable, come on and make something out of it and see, and be honest, be okay to fail. If you are starting a venture, there's a good problem. It's going to fail. But you can change it. You can find something else. Like, don't worry about that. I think find efficiencies, go after it, be open to change your mind. And I think that's pretty simple to me. It's like hard to execute, but simple. The principle is pretty straightforward.
That sounds simple to me. Find a problem, make mistakes, and don't wait. Start now.
Exactly. Oh, wow. That's a good way to put it. Exactly.
Reza, we have covered a lot of ground. It's been an exciting conversation with all what we have touched upon today. What is the most important takeaway from our conversation?
I think we are in the inflection point for the biomanufacturing, the biologics manufacturing. And I think that just people knowing that and investing in it and like going after it, it's pretty important. I work in a convergence of AI and biologics, but I think the AI is overhyped, the biologics is underhyped. So it's like thinking about that. That's important. Yeah.
Where can people connect with you, Reza?
Yeah, like I'm with the Catalyze AI. Just go there, Catalyze with K and Z, AI.com. So like you can check out what we are doing there. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn, Twitter. We are at almost most social medias. Just give us a shout out. We are happy to talk about, like, if you're excited about this space, we are happy to chat.
So I'm going to leave all the links down in the show notes. So please do reach out to Reza, have a conversation and explore what AI can do for you. So thank you very much, Reza. It's been a huge pleasure talking about AI and bioprocessing. Thank you once again for being on the show today.
It was a pleasure to having this conversation. I'm always excited to talk about AI and biologics.
Thank you for joining us for this insightful conversation with Reza Farahani, who is the founder and CEO of Catalyze AI, about the convergence of AI and bioprocess development. Are you ready to transform your biomanufacturing development journey? Book a 60-minute strategy session with me at bromanconsulting.com. We'll identify critical optimization opportunities and create a tailored action plan to reduce your manufacturing costs and accelerate market entry. Until next time, keep innovating, and thank you so much for tuning in today. All right, smart scientists. That's all for today on the Smart Biotech Scientist Podcast. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on your journey to bioprocess mastery. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. By doing so, we can empower more scientists like you. For additional bioprocessing tips, visit us at smartbiotechscientist.com. Stay tuned for more inspiring biotech insights in our next episode. Until then, let's continue to smarten up biotech.